Hey, it's Amanda Marie. It is day 14 of ascending Alps. It is quite late. It's already after midnight, so I guess to some people I may have technically missed the day, but that is because I've been going crazy all day because it's the day before, or I guess now technically the day of, one of the biggest events of my career. And I've been focusing on a lot of back-end stuff and wasn't really planning on putting many products of my own out. But right now I was feeling drawn. It is a full moon. It is the full harvest moon. Oh my gosh. If you haven't had a chance to get out there and look at it, get out there and look at it. It is absolutely just beautiful. I would take you to see it, but the camera just doesn't even do it justice. I'm using an iPhone to record this. Maybe if I had a better quality camera, I would go for a little walk, but oh my gosh, I was out there and it's just, whew, it's such a powerful moon, such powerful energy. And I was feeling very creative, so I decided to make a little batch, just a quick batch of some of my intentional Reiki infused crystal herb bookmarks that I make. And there'll be just a very limited batch. I'm going to be setting intentions of releasing things that don't serve us, bringing forward the new strength and success that we've been waiting to manifest, and I'm going to infuse them with lots of love and good vibes. I have a few different herbs that I intend on using. We have lavender, wormwood, jasmine, chamomile, and lotus. I have a bunch, but those are the ones I chose. I didn't choose them for any specific reason. I just felt drawn to use them. And we are going to be using little chips of fluorite as the crystal that goes along with this one. Again, no particular reason. This is what I was feeling drawn to do. These are examples of other bookmarks I've made, so this is what they'll look like. Now, here's the thing. When using resin, it has to be exact. You need the measurements to be exact or else it doesn't dry properly. So as long as I do this correctly, it should dry in time for me to be able to demold these and take them with me and use them in the fair. But if they don't, that's fine. It'll just mean that I created a batch of bookmarks on the night of the full moon, and that's just special anyway. I actually am considering possibly doing a small batch of meditation candles as well, but I'm not going to push it. Baby steps. We're just going to start here and see if I'm still deciding to ride that wave. Plus, I do need to get some sleep, even if it's just a couple hours. I'm just so excited. It's so hard for me to sleep when I have something that I've been looking forward to and something I've been putting so much work into. I'm just excited to see it come to life tomorrow. It's been up here for so long, and now I get to watch all of the pieces fall together, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, in order to do this, you have to take the epoxy and the epoxy hardener, and you have to get equal measurements of them. So what I like to do is I just use 1 cup for that because I'll just do one at a time. So here, these are 3 ounces. So first I'm going to start with the epoxy, and I'm going to fill it up to 3 ounces. You want to like really get it in there too. So, except I'm going to just put it down for a second on my little mat. This mat is awesome. It's silicone. Everything I'm using is silicone because resin is extremely sticky. So you don't want to be getting it stuck to everything. And when it sticks to silicone, you can actually peel it right off. So here's like a couple of examples of like little pieces I haven't taken off before, just peels right off. So that's why you want to use silicone. See these little bits. It's actually really satisfying. But yeah, so just a little under the 3 ounce line. So now that I'm so close, I'll hold it up to my eye again so that I could really see. There we go. And like I said, you need it to be exact if I want this to work. So there's my 3 ounces. I'm going to take that and put it into this container that I'm going to be mixing them together in. And I'm going to let it like really just empty in there. Make sure it all goes in. Some people, when they're mixing resin, will add like mica powder or mica chips. Here's an example of some mica chips, and it'll turn the colors different. That's an example of one of these bookmarks I did. You can see how there's colors, and it's because I used mica powder, which gave it color. Those are tiger eye crystals and some other herbs, dried herbs that I have in there. Whereas this one, I didn't use any mica powder, so you can see how it's like just completely clear. Oh yeah, at the end I like to tie these little cute tassels on them, but not always. It just depends if it calls for it or not. Let's see how we're doing on this. Even my stirrers are silicone because it helps get every last bit. Now I'll go around the edge. Just makes the cleanup so much easier. When I first started doing this, I wasn't using all of the proper supplies, and that cleanup is not always fun. I mean, if you want to use disposable stuff, you can too. So like you could get like popsicle sticks, or just if you're gonna do it often, you know, why not use reusable? It's always nice to use reusable things when we can. Not saying I do it for everything, but that's why, like I said, when I can, why not? Just getting all those little last bits in there. Because you really want to try to get all of it. That way when you mix it, like I said, you want it to be equal parts. And like I said, as long as I mix this correctly, these will probably come with me to the festival, but if not, it's not a big deal. It's still nice to just get to create. I haven't really been flowing into my creative self, and that's why over the last couple of days it's been nice to get myself back to painting a little bit and doing a batch of these and just following, you know, what feels right. So I'm gonna mix this in here. This one goes in much easier. It's funny because it's the thing that hardens it, but it's much softer liquid. It just comes flowing out so much easier. Now the cool thing about the silicone too is I can even kind of squeeze it and squish it, and like I'm doing a tube of toothpaste. Just get all of that out. Everything should be even now. A little bit sticky on my hands, but it's okay. So now, this is when you mix it, and you gotta mix it really good. You actually wanna mix it, honestly, for a few minutes. So this is the point in time where I like to just take a few breaths. I like to thank the energy of beautiful Luna Moon out there. That strong, rejuvenating, cleansing energy. I ask that these bookmarks be full of adventures, whether they be in journals, stories, or poems. I ask that they hold the space for each individual that it belongs to, with eagerness, excitement, and joy. The Reiki ideals are, well, Reiki energy healing is an ancient Japanese form of healing. So the ideals that we kind of go by are in ancient, well, not ancient, they're in Japanese. And so I'm gonna actually say those. I'll translate them loosely into English as well, but I'm just gonna take a moment to set these intentions. Kaio dake wa oko luna shinpai suna kansha shite gu hajime hito ni Shinsetsu ni. Just for today, don't get angry. Don't worry. Be grateful. Work hard and be kind to every being, including yourself. Just for today, just for today, just for today. Loving good vibes, loving good vibes, loving good vibes. All right, so you want to mix this up so that the air bubbles are all taken out of there, and so it's really mixed up good. And at this point, we're just gonna evenly start to distribute them into the molds. Oops. I'll just start with like little lines because it will spread out, so sometimes it goes a little thicker in other areas, but I give it a second because I can move it around. Ooh, that one has a lot. I'm actually hoping that this festival itself helps me be able to get some more supplies to be able to make more products for the festivals. All right. Oops, that is a lot of resin in that one. Makes me sad because then it's almost like a waste of resin. I do find ways to repurpose it usually. Like a lot of times when I make the bookmarks, I actually only use the resin from resin paintings that I'm doing. So, like, I can show you an example. I think I've already showed you guys this one before, but like, I will use the resin that I'm using as I make the paintings. That whatever is coming off of that way I, you know, can repurpose the resin, get a little extra use out of it. So now I am going to sprinkle my herbs. I'm just doing it as it feels. None of them will look the exact same. This one is the chamomile. It smells so good. Now, if you're gonna use herbs for any purpose, whether you're using them for creative purposes or medicinal purposes or whatever it is, you want to pay attention to where they are being sourced from. You want to make sure it's both ethical and, you know, pure. You don't want to be using something, if you were going to be using this medicinally and you're going to be consuming it or even just using it topically, you want to know what it is and where it came from. So it's really important to pay attention to that. This is our wormwood. See, some of it, I just go with the flow wherever it feels like I'm supposed to plonk it on. Some of it will get less than others. Some of it will be more spread out. Some of it will look more balanced, more purposeful, even though it's all just intuitive and random. None of it is pre-planned. Sometimes I do get like artistic ideas in my head that I pre-plan and choose to follow, but a lot of times what I do is very free flow in the moment and intuitive. I'm glad I decided to flow with this wave today. I'm excited to see what these look like tomorrow, and if I'm able to demold them prior to the event, or if I'll have to wait to come home. We're gonna sprinkle some lavender. I love the colors on these. I'll be able to get some of these herbs that are going on the side onto some of my other paintings. I actually am going to be working on another painting before I go to sleep after this, just because I've been trying to do little bits of it every night. It's a mindful activity for me. So I might try to get some of these herbs onto it. It's actually the painting I was showing you guys a couple episodes back. The one that I was working on that has the tree. That one's only beginning. I have so much to do that. Alright. Last but not least, I want to add a little jasmine and a little lotus. But I'm not going to go heavy on those two because they're much thicker ones. So we're just going to like sprinkle some on there in some different places. A little bit of lotus on my mind, a little bit of lotus in my bookmark, a little bit of lotus, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes songs just randomly pop in my head and I just, you gotta just sing them. Whoever says they don't do that, I don't know if I believe you. Probably not, I don't believe you. There's no way. Now what I'll have to determine is if I need any more resin. I shouldn't. If I need even a tiny bit more, I should be able to scrape some off of the thing that, over the parts that spilled, and it'll be fine. I'll be able to get what I need on here. These ones are going to be cool. I haven't really had a batch like this before because they're clear, but they're so covered in herbs that they're not going to really be see-through. Let's do a little bit of lotus. Like I said, just like, this is funny because these are the same herbs I was using for my tree on the painting I showed you guys the other day that I was just referencing 2 seconds ago. I'm just sticking them on there. I'll probably follow up and check what some of the meanings on the stuff that I was drawn to use are. That's what I normally do. I just go back after the fact and kind of look into what its purpose is. These are very fall looking. It's so beautiful. Now we are just going to add some fluorite crystals, just sticking a few in random places. Each one has to have at least one. You know what? It's always at least one, but I think I'm going to intentionally stick about 3 on each. That's the number that's calling to me right now. 3. And if one ends up with an extra one, good for that one. Yeah. These are good. These are gonna look nice. Yes, I love it. Cool. Now, because I know there's a little left over in here, I'll just, oh, what a sad little move I made there. The ones that look like they're a little light on resin, I'll come in and just give little, I'm actually just gonna give quick little drizzles to all of them because it will spread, as I mentioned too. So it'll just help stick everything in place. It's funny because I'm gonna post this right after I finish it, but I might even pop back in a couple hours for the next part of the segment, just to kind of show you guys how these demold, if it even ends up happening. It should. It looks like it will. From what I can see, everything is mixed great. Oh yeah, let's lock it all in. Lock it all in. Lock it all in. They'll all smooth out. Just making sure that they're all evenly full. That's all I really care about. I like them to be even because it makes them more sturdy. And it looks like we're doing good. So, yeah. Okay. Where do you need me? Where do you need me? Right there. Where else? Maybe a little right here. Like I said, this was just a way to let my creativity flow, possibly have a little bit of something extra to offer tomorrow at the festival, which is almost here. Oh. For anyone who caught that, I could have just made a mistake. I was pouring out of that, which is not technically evenly mixed, so we'll see if that messed with it, or if the fact that it is all technically mixed helps. Oh, we'll see. That was the hardener, so it shouldn't be an issue. These are all looking pretty even. I'm going to stop messing with them because you just saw what happens when you mess with them too much. Mistakes can be made, but there are no mistakes. To quote Bob Ross, only happy accidents. You know, to fail. I believe that that's true. I really do, because especially when it comes to art, I believe that it's just about expressing yourself and just letting loose. That's why children's art amazes me, because it's always so great because they put no thought into it. They just free flow. So it's part of why I try to do what I do. It's definitely why I do the open mics and stuff, because I really enjoy finding ways for, and like the vendor events in general, it's just ways to bring people together and showcase our talents, our skills, and the things we love. So hopefully I will be able to bring these with me. We will see what happens when it comes time to get ready to head out of here in just a couple hours. So it may not be enough time, and that's okay. There really isn't that much time between now and when I'm going to get ready to leave. So we'll see. But yeah, this was great. Thanks for joining me while I did this. I am glad that I decided to do this, and regardless of when I do demold them, I will check back in and let you see how that goes. So thanks so much. If this is something you enjoyed, I can do more things like this often. I love showing you different ways that I connect with myself and mellow out. This is definitely a big one. Getting creative is so important, and I definitely suggest finding ways to get creative, unique ways. If you don't want to paint, if you don't want to draw, if you don't want to do something like this, that's okay. Find what it is that you can get creative with, that you enjoy, whatever it may be. Whatever it is that gets your mind going and brings you that pure ecstasy of just excitement and happiness. So thank you so much for joining me. I am so grateful to be able to share this journey with you. And I will see you in, honestly, probably a couple hours. Like I said, I'm going to check back in and let you see what's going on, and probably update you from the festival. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Love and good vibes. Love and good vibes.